Hi friends and fellow flute enthusiasts, thanks for tuning in to Jonny's Flute Reviews. I'm Jonny Lipford, and since 2002 I've dedicated myself to everything flute. I teach, perform, and record full-time with the Native American flute. I post videos here on YouTube covering flute tips, tutorials, original songs, and cover songs to showcase how versatile the Native American flute is. If you're new here and interested in becoming a more emotive flute player, or you just love listening to the sounds of the Native American flute, be sure you subscribe and hit that little bell so you're notified every time a new video drops. Now, let's dive into a flute from my personal collection. Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be looking at two really unique flutes out of my collection. Now, these were a signature flute series that I did with Frank Harder of Raven Wing Flutes several years ago, and they're unique. I'll explain this in a second, but both are made from ambrosia maple, one of my favorite woods. I just absolutely love this wood. Both are in the key of B minor. Both are transverse flutes, meaning that we're going to be playing them this way. But here's the really cool thing about these, and unfortunately Frank no longer makes them like this. We did a very short run, a very short signature series with these two flutes, and so the unique factor of this is that this is a transverse Anasazi flute, and this is a transverse Mojave flute, actually a modified Mojave flute, as it has a thumb hole in the back. And so the holes on this are placed, let's see if I can put this flute down here for a second. The holes on, the playing holes on these particular flutes are ergonomic because of the length of the flute, and as you push away like this, you know, you have to play this one with the left hand on top because of the way that the holes are curved off to the left here and curved off to the right on this side. So it really produces a just a really nice low sound. They are pretty, you know, skinny. You know, they're not really a big bore flute, and typically when we see our Native American flutes in the lower range of flutes, they get pretty thick. Well, these are long, and anyway, I'll give you a sound sample. This is the Anasazi one. It's got obsidian, you know, little gemstones here, and so this was the obsidian Anasazi. So for me, these are a little easier to play than the traditional rim-blown Anasazi flutes. And so when I went to Frank and commissioned him, I said, I have this idea around an Anasazi and Mojave flute because of the time I struggled with playing the rim-blown. Now you know, it's not I wouldn't say it's not my favorite thing to play, but I have gotten a lot better at them. I'm just way more proficient with the Native American flute. So this particular one, now we're going to switch over to the Mojave. And so with the Anasazi flute, I was able to put there were 6 holes on that flute, all on the top, kind of like our native style flutes. With this one, there are just, they're really spread out, the holes on here. So we end up with 2 playing holes for the bottom hand and 3 actually for the top, but there are 2 here on the top of the flute, and I like to keep my middle fingers in the space between the holes, and so it acts as a really good guide for where my other fingers go. So It looks like I'm covering up a hole here, but I'm actually not. I'm just resting and anchoring there. And then on the back side, there is a very small thumb hole on the back side, so that gives me an extra note in the top. So here, it's a B minor Mojave transverse flute. So really haunting and beautiful sound that these two flutes have. I recorded a song on migration with this particular flute. It's called Wisdom in the Wing, and it features this particular flute and a high B minor native style flute. So I'll put a link to that in the bottom below. But I'm curious if you play any transverse flutes or even rim-blown flutes. If you'll, I'd love to hear your comments below, so feel free to share down there and give this video a like if you enjoyed the sound of these two flutes, and share this with one of your flute enthusiasts. You know, we're all crazy about exotic and interesting flutes. In the description below, you'll also find some helpful links to videos that will help you along your flute journey, as well as a link to some products that I use during a live performance and other spaces as well. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're notified every time that a new video like this, or an original cover song, or a flute tutorial video drops. You'll be the first one to know, and the coolest person out of your friends. I don't know about that part, but I thought I'd throw it in there just in case. So I hope to see you next time as we look at more flutes from my collection. Thanks so much.